You got it, Jess. You can remember.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Highly Unsolicited Book Reviews for Invested Spouses. My name is Jess.
Good God, my name is Mark.
And I can never remember the name of our podcast.
Yes, every week I turn to Jess and I say, all right, you ready to do the intro? And she stares at me like a deer in the headlights. Like, okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's a long title.
It is.
You know, but I thought it was clever.
No, it is clever. It's a clever title. I like it. It's just...
long as hell.
Yes, okay, let's see. I don't have my notes in front of me. Highly Unsolicited Book Reviews for Invested Spouses. There we go. I got it.
Nailed it.
I got it. Woo.
Listener, we did it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Hubris. My name is Mark. That's Jess. And we're going to bring you another unsolicited book review. Today we're... excuse me. Today we're actually throwing it back. This is a book that Jess read back in May of this year. Today we're going to be talking about the Kingdom of the Wicked book series. This is a trilogy. Is it complete? 3 books?
It is a 3-book complete series,
okay.
Yes.
This is a trilogy written by Carrie Maniscalco. Yeah, Carrie Maniscalco. You gave these books pretty good, like 4, 3.75, 3.5. Like
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it, which is why when we were kind of thinking about what we wanted to talk about today, I was like, do you know what? Let me go back and see if there's anything that we haven't really gotten a chance to chat about that we can. And this series, it is YA. It's what it's listed as. But it was pretty spicy for YA. Like, it had at least one sex scene in each book, if I recall correctly.
Dang.
Which for me, young adult usually
Isn't
spicy.
Yeah.
So what this author has done is, this was the original trilogy. It takes place in its own world, and it does follow the Prince of Sin. So like there's lust, there's envy, there's greed, the 7 deadly sins basically.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a prince for each of the sins. And so this book mainly follows the Prince of Wrath. And then this is a YA series, but she has done another series, which is an adult series, that each book follows one of the other princes. So the first book of the series follows the Prince of Envy, and that is an adult novel. So I accidentally read that book first, not recognizing that the 2 series were linked. So I technically read this afterwards and got some spoilers, but you know me, I don't care all that much for spoilers. So this was kind of...
You live for spoilers.
It does. And I really liked the book that I had read. Oh my gosh, now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, what the heck was it called? It was called Throne of the Fallen, and it is from the Prince of Sin series.
We should do that one next time.
Well, that we can probably kind of all talk about them a little bit all in together, because again, they all take place in the same world. But this Kingdom of the Wicked is technically the first book. It's just not the first book that I read of the world.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me while I quickly look up Throne of the Fallen.
Yes.
So that I can have... there's only 2 books. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know if the second one's out yet.
We'll see. First published 2024.
Oh, so maybe it has come out.
Throne of Secrets. Ooh, we're getting sidetracked, but I'm here for it.
When are we ever on track?
The average rating from other people is 5 stars, so gotta pick it up. Even though it's probably AI or some bot accounts. Okay. Kingdom of the Wicked. We gotta start with the cover art. It's a skull. There's a snake.
It comes out October 29th, 2024, so it's not out yet.
There's a snake coming out of the skull. There's a bunch of gold-colored roses in the background.
Yeah, that's actually like one of the reasons that I was drawn to the series, because the cover of the first book that I read, the Prince of Sin, it was really, really pretty. And then when I saw this series, I was like, it's a little bit like darker with the skulls, but again, it was still really pretty. So I really love the covers. Oh my god, the covers of this series. But why don't you go ahead and refresh my memory by saying what the series or what the summary is about?
Sure. Two sisters, one brutal murder, a quest for vengeance that will unleash hell itself, and an intoxicating romance. Amelia and her twin Victoria are... Okay, sorry.
Can you just talk normally, please?
Yeah. So Amelia and her twin are Streg. Streghe.
Strega?
Strega.
Stregas. That's
they're
witch in
witches.
Italian. Yeah.
Okay. They're witches. They're living secretly. One night, Victoria misses dinner, and then Amelia finds her body desecrated. She's devastated, but she wants to find out who killed her.
Yes.
Then she meets Wrath, one of the wicked princes of hell that she's been warned against. But then, all of a sudden, bada bing, bada boom, partners in crime, teaming up kind of thing, and then plot.
Yeah, so from what I remember, this book takes place in Sicily, and actually it starts off with the author basically dedicating the book to her Italian background, which is really cool because I don't feel like Italy is a location for many ways, especially Sicily specifically.
I feel like it's almost exclusively reserved for like mystery. I know this. I literally just said murder because this is a murder thing, but it's more. It's almost like it has
mafia.
Yeah,
it's
it's
has
either
to be darker.
Well, it's either mafia or it's like Illuminati. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
well,
like
you're
it's
talking
like
about the Da Vinci Code.
yeah, no, literally, that's what I mean. It's
Yeah.
like it's either like there's some kind of untold secret delving into the depths of this country, or mafia.
Yeah, or like ancient Rome or whatever. Which and you know what, all of that is great, but like I just, for a young adult series to take place in Sicily, I was like, this is great. And I guess her family owned a restaurant, so this family in the series, the twin sisters with her nonna and her parents, they own
just the twin sisters with their nonna.
I am Italian. I do have a nonna. Anyway, so they own this Italian restaurant, and I think her family also did. So it was really nice to just see her, taking something that she knows, and, incorporating it into this magical, mythical story, as well as the fact that she does have some Italian quotes in the book. And again, that's another thing that I don't usually see a lot. Like, when there is another language, it's usually any other language other than Italian, but it was so refreshing to have this be the setting. It felt kind of cozy comfort for me because, again, I am Italian, my grandmother's Sicilian, so it was just kind of nice to see a book take place there. And the plot was very good. Like, it was very clearly thought out from beginning to end. The books, all three of them in general, just flowed really, really well. But talking about the first book, basically the main female character, I'm forgetting her name, but Amelia. So her twin sister Victoria is found
Vittoria, not Victoria. Vittoria.
Okay, Victoria is found dead in a church, and she basically sees like Wrath standing over her body, and he disappears. And so she's looking for the man who she thinks killed her sister, which is Wrath. And then when she summons him, she accidentally binds herself to him, which has deeper meaning later on in the series. And he basically is like, fine, if you want to find her murderer, like I technically do as well, but you're bound to me. And it kind of starts them, their relationship together. And
that's the weirdest meet cute I've ever heard. Yeah.
But it gets way more interesting as the series goes along. But the first book is basically, she's devastated, by the way. She was extremely close with her twin, and she thought that they shared everything. But upon her death, she starts to actually recognize that her sister held some secrets, and so she's not only just trying to figure out who murdered her sister, but she's also like discovering
more about her sister
that she didn't know. And throughout the series she ends up basically seeing a different side of her sister that she never expected. So if you're looking for like the barest of bones summary, that is it. We are going to go into deep spoiler territory from here on out, but that's basically the gist of the first book.
Now, okay, are we going to move on to the second book, or can I talk a little more about the first book?
Yeah, we can talk some more about it.
I gotta know how much of a Zaddy Wrath is. What's his Zaddy rating out of Zaddy?
We should have a zaddy rating. I like that.
Okay, well, we're gonna hash this out right now, really quick. What is the 0 on the zaddy rating, and what is the zaddy on the zaddy rating?
Oh.
Like, are we going from like, Stu Pickles from Rugrats is 0?
No.
To like.
Do you know what? I have a really hard time with like a 0 to 10 scale, like when you're talking about like comparing it to people, because there is no 10 in my mind. Like,
okay,
I've read so
how about
many...
this? Let's look at like a cross, right? So you've got like hot on one axis,
Yeah.
and then you've got like murdery on a different axis.
No, he's definitely not like murdery. Like, he's wrath, so he's got some anger issues, but like for the most part, I'd say he's like a 7.5. Like, he's
on the crazy
high.
scale.
No, on the zaddy scale, like the hotness scale.
Okay,
like,
that's a good zaddy.
Yeah, he is. I
Does he wear suits? I really like it when Death wears a suit.
He's not Death though. He's Wrath.
No, I know, but this whole like anytime an Eldritch character, it's just like dressed to the nines in a suit. You're like, oh, you don't.
He's a
fuck
prince
around.
of hell, so yeah, he's just pretty nicely.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, in the beginning, he's not. I think he comes with no clothes, if I remember correctly.
What, he's just standing over her desiccated body in the nude?
No. So
no wonder she's trying to track him down. She's like, dude, what are you doing?
No.
This is a church. Why you got your dick out?
No. When she summons him, he's in the buff. And so she ends up getting clothes for him because he's bound to her. So he's stuck in her plane because he's from hell, right? So he's stuck in her plane and basically... for the entirety of the first book, I'm pretty sure.
And it's a Boeing, so it's pretty, spacious. Sorry, stupid.
He was
joke.
originally stuck in a cave, and he couldn't leave the cave. Like, she summoned him in she did like a summoning circle.
So he's got a glow up.
He was stuck in the circle, and then I think by the end of the book, he's like brought her over to like a house that he's claimed for himself, and it's like this really nice big house. But yeah, so that's like the basic, the bones of the first book. And again, it kind of jumps right into the second.
So, okay, what's the resolution of the first book? Like, where are we leaving off on the first book that then there is a second book?
Well, when you probably read the summary of the second book, it's going to say, like, how the first one ended. Because I read them all as, like, one big series, so I can't remember exactly where the break off was.
No worries. One sister.
Oh my god, no. Fuck off. Just read
okay. One sister, two sinful princes. Infinite deception with a side of revenge. ... Welcome to hell. With the enigmatic Prince of Wrath at her side, Amelia sells her soul to become queen of the wicked and traveled to the 7 circles of hell to fulfill her vow of avenging her beloved sister. We missed a lot of info. Okay, we're just gonna go with it. The first rule, trust no one. Blah 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 blah. She's got secrets of her own. She's dealing with hell politics. And she's on a mission to unlock the mysteries of her past and uncover answers. Does she still not know who killed her sister?
No.
Yeah, and that's it.
So what I didn't say about the first book is she kind of travels around to gather information. So she ends up finding out that her sister was working at a gambling den for, I think it's, what's the one where you can never have enough?
Greed.
Greed. Thank you. Couldn't think of the word. So she was working for greed, and then lust somehow knew about her too. So when she was in the human realm, they kind of butted in, or she synced them out. So she kind of knew that her sister was tangled in with the princes of hell. And the one thing that I didn't mention that happened in the first book is her and her sister both had these necklaces that they were told they could never take it off. And every single month they basically had to like do a spell to keep them like powered or something.
Love a good Twitches necklace.
Yep. So she does have her sister's necklace, and it keeps everybody kind of either wants it or it's being stolen, and envy ends up popping in there at some point. But in the second book, she does, I think, go to hell at that point, and she's determined that when she gets there that she will be able to kind of question the princes and get a little bit more information. but in a more like diplomatic way, because of course there's politics in hell, and if you follow them, she'll hopefully get better answers. But in order to get to hell, you need to kind of pass through this like wasteland kind of place, and you basically have to do it tests you to see what court you would belong to. So it pumps you with lust, it pumps you with wrath, it pumps you with envy, it pumps you with sloth, and then it kind of tests you to see which one you align with.
When it pumps you with sloth, it's just a lazy boy.
Just you want to nap, yeah. But it's like a wasteland, like it's cold, it's snowy, and so Wrath ends up helping her get through it. She wouldn't have gotten through it without him, because he like keeps her warm. He makes her a shelter when it's time for them to sleep for the night. And so this book goes a little bit more. So the first book was very much like, this is Sicily, this is her background, her family restaurant, the people that she knows, the church, the people at the market, and then the princes are kind of sprinkled in. The second book is way more about the politics and world building about.
Well, yeah, she becomes queen of hell, looks like.
I don't really remember that part, but so I'm gonna skim over that. But for the most part, the second book is her going to hell, going to Wrath's palace.
She becomes queen of the wicked, whatever that means.
Yeah. So most of the characters that basically you haven't been introduced to yet that are important, you are introduced to in this book, and for the most part, it's her.
We're setting up plot
setting up the plot in the background
3.
for book 3, and also more on the relationship between Amelia and Wrath. Because in the first book, even though she was like attracted to him, she was very like kind of cautious, and the second book is a little bit more spicy.
Okay. So second book, setting stuff up. It should be worth noted, you gave 4 stars to the first book, 3.5 stars to the second book, 3.75 stars to the third book out of 5.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a come up on the third book, probably because there's a resolution. Yeah. As you're, one of our friends was thought it was hilarious. Jess had a great tagline, which is I want a climax to be a climax. So the book's got to have a payoff.
It does.
So in this book, there are 2 curses, a prophecy, and a reckoning. And it says, all hail the king and queen of hell. Amelia, super big spoilers here, people. So this is your last chance, because this is the book 3, and we're at the climax. Amelia discovers that her twin sister Vittoria is alive.
Da, da, da.
But before she faces the demons of her past, she yearns to claim her king. Not my words. That's what it says. And she's trying to claim for the Prince of Wrath himself. She doesn't just desire his body, but she wants his heart and his soul. Yeah, I don't know. Then, like, politics. Somebody in the House of Greed is assassinated. They think it's Vittoria, or Vittoria's framed for it. Now there's another mystery because I gotta save her from being killed again in hell, I guess.
Yep.
And then Amelia and Wrath play a game of deception while they try and figure out what's everything going on. And they're trying to deal with the most treacherous foe of all. They're called the Feared. And then I guess they're going to deal with whatever the Feared is by the end of the book.
Yeah, so because I was a little bit unsure about what happens in which book, because again, read this back in May. We're at the almost end of August, so it's been a little bit of time. But remember how I said that the sister had some secrets? It turns out that she figured out that the sisters were cursed. And you know how that they were living in Sicily? Well, haha, joke's on them. It wasn't really Sicily. It was like an alternate dimension that was basically like Sicily, but not actually. And everything in them was like kind of like NPCs fakeness, or if I remember correctly, there was like people who were like basically in purgatory. So way more stuff is like unraveled, and it almost becomes a whole other series by the end of the book, because you basically find out that the main character Amelia and her sister, they're cursed. You don't exactly know why. The big spoiler of the book is that they thought that they were witches, but actually they were like these other beings that were way more powerful. And like their mother is like, I think the original witch or something like that. So they were born very powerful. And the necklaces that they wore ended up being the gates to reopen hell, basically. So when the princes of hell were seeming to get too strong, they were like, do you know what, we're going to steal these little girls away. We're going to bind and lock the gates of hell, and we're going to curse basically Wrath, and I think everybody else, like all the princes, have some kind of a curse. But because they're the princes of hell and they're obviously like very power hungry and whatnot, they don't really divulge into what each of their curses are.
Probably has something to do with the name of their their names,
kind
you know what I mean?
of. So Wrath, it turns out that he can't love. That's his thing. And I think something about like whoever he does love dies or something like that. So she's like wanting to be in love with Wrath, but he can't love her back. So he's basically like taking potions and all this stuff to suppress his feelings for her because he doesn't want the curse to be.
Oh, so it's not that he can't love, but if he loves, then they die.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's just 7 deadly sins.
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know.
Elizabeth! Sorry.
So by the end of it all, she's reunited with her mother. She's reunited with her sister, who, spoilers, did not kill that person that she was accused of. Or if she did, it was in self-defense and she gets let off the hook. But anyways, in the end, she ends up marrying Wrath. She ends up becoming queen of hell because for whatever reason, Wrath is chosen to be king of hell, and it's a happily ever after. Yeah. So by the end of it, it's like there was all these curses. They all kind of get resolved, and everything's like tidied up with a neat little bow.
I don't know, but okay, but I mean, you know, normally like Chekhov's curse, you know, like you introduce the curse in book 1, or you so that you can have it resolve in book 3. It's like you introduce the curse and resolve it in the span. I don't know.
I think the curse like is always being hinted at throughout the series.
Okay, that makes more sense.
It's just the main character. She doesn't know her background. She doesn't know who she is.
And she thinks her memories of Nonna making pasta.
Well, it actually turns out that her Nonna wasn't really her Nonna. She was actually the person that took her away. So that was like a big betrayal for her.
All the pasta is gone.
Yeah, so you know, it I mean, overall, it was a really good series. I liked it, especially for YA, because I find YA series don't always capture my attention when it's a series. Like I'll maybe read the first 2 books and then I'll be like, I don't think I can keep going. But this one, I read the first, second, and third. As you can tell from my ratings, I think I really enjoyed the first book because, again, I was just so shocked to see that Sicily setting that I was like, oh, this is really great.
But it wasn't actually Sicily. They even got you, Jess. Your warm and comfy feelings of love and memories, they were all lies.
Exactly. But then the
next series, which is Princes of Sins, book 1 and 2. This is Throne of the Fallen. So this is, like you mentioned, this is the same setting, different characters.
Different characters, yeah. So this one actually follows Envy, who played a pretty important role in the original series. Like, he ends up helping Amelia, and then she ends up owing him a favor because she basically gets his help throughout it. And but in this one, you find out basically what his curse is that something, I think 2 items of his kingdom were stolen, and without those items he's not able to do a ritual that will allow his people to basically continue to thrive. So because they're basically immortal beings, they kind of have to like purge their memories or do this kind of ritual that will help with their memories, because without it they kind of go
crazy.
They kind of go crazy. Yeah.
Okay, so Prince of Envy, he gets like a note, and then basically they're like, oh, we we're gonna play a jigsaw style evil
Yeah,
game.
we're gonna play a game for you
to get your relic back.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'm down for that. So Da Vinci Code.
Kind of. And then every player, you don't know who the other players are, and you don't know what their objectives are. Everybody has a different objective to make the game interesting. And so again, Envy is the main male character of the story, and the main female character, I can't remember her name, but she's an artist. Camilla. So she's an artist. She has, again, a weird background about her, but you don't know what it is until towards the end of the book. But it's hinted at that you think she's human in the beginning, but it's hinted that maybe there's something special about her. And basically, she has this special ability that whatever she draws, she's able to basically manifest it. Yeah. So again, if really
there was ever any doubt that she was human,
if that was her powers, I don't know why she didn't just draw the relics and was able to pull the relics. But she's basically commissioned by Envy, to draw like this throne that is one of like the dark artifacts, and she's like, no, I'm not gonna do it, and so his thing is that he needs to convince her to do this, and then once she does do it, she ends up becoming a player of the game as well, and basically the past that she's been running from ends up catching up with her, but then she also feels like she really wants to help Envy, so like, and then she ends up falling for him as well, and again, it's an adult book, so it's a little bit more spicy, and overall, she's
just drawing butt plugs.
I really enjoyed the series. I liked the twist at the end. The big twist at the end, spoilers, is that she's actually a princess of the Fae, and her father is the one who orchestrated the game in the first place. Yeah. So
again, these are some really elaborate meet cutes. It's like dad's going way overboard to get his daughter a date.
Well, no, I think she actually ran away, and she was in hiding for a very long time. Yeah, and so she ends up like integrating her. So her mother ran away with her to the human realm, and I guess her mother married like a human man, and that man became like obsessed with trying to discover the Fae, and kind of became known as like a Fae not supporter, but
like a Fae cryptozoology guy.
No,
featured on like the History Channel on Canadian TV.
Not exactly, but like, in this world, it's very obvious that they know of the supernatural, but they try to stay away from it. And so people who do, interact with, I think they call it like the dark market, or like the dark side of the society, they aren't as respected. And it kind of it has like a Victorian-esque feel, because she is somewhat concerned about what society thinks about her and whatnot, but not to the extent where she does not step out of her shell to make the plot go along. So overall, I really liked it.
You gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I really liked it. I love the world building, even though I hadn't read the original series. That's actually what made me so intrigued to read it. I thought the plot was good. I enjoyed the game setup. I thought that was kind of clever. I thought that it was kind of different, especially since it wasn't it wasn't clear cut. It was very everybody's after something else. You don't know who you're interacting with. You don't know who you can trust. And I overall really enjoyed it.
Nice. Well, do you have any closing thoughts for this book series?
I'm really excited for the second book of the Princess Sin series to come out. Again, that's why I was like, when you were like, oh yeah, look at here, it's right. I'm like, no, because I would have known that it was out and I would have read it. So that's not the truth. So I really liked it. I'm really excited for the next book to come out.
Keep me on my toes.
I really like this author. I like her world building for the most part. I like her characters. I like her smut. And I am looking forward for more.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, Thank you, dear listener, for tuning in to another episode of Hubris. We hope you enjoyed us yammering into your ear, but another unsolicited book review. We try and upload every Monday. So far, we haven't missed it.
We were close to missing it tonight because Mark was lazy.
This was a near miss, folks. We took our daughter on a walk, and then I mowed the lawn, and then I went to the gym and worked out for an hour, and then I got home and I made dinner, and then after dinner I laid on the couch and I fell asleep for 2 hours. Problem is, I have sleep apnea, so basically my brain thought I was dying for 2 hours because I shouldn't have taken a nap. I should have used my CPAP. So I woke up and I felt so disoriented, felt like my entire head was full of fog, but cleared up after about a half an hour. So I almost didn't make it fully to this episode. I was like, I'm going to go straight to bed. But for you, our 2 listeners, I couldn't. I had to make sure there was an episode. Because I know 8 a.m. Monday morning, you're there waiting for this episode.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I will say, though, that our next episode for next week, Monday, will be our August wrap-up. So I am super excited to do that. However, because the month of August ends on a Saturday, and
it's going to come out in September. What do you want from us?
Well, yes, but we're probably going to record it, like, the night before we have to...
Yeah, we'll do it next weekend.
Make sure that it gets all of August down.
Yeah, you've only read 43 books this month or something crazy like that, so well, we're not gonna have that much content to talk about.
I don't know why you say it like that. I feel like, yes, I read a lot, but
it's Jess. Listen. I'm not reading the books. So, with the podcast has to have content.
How did you remember exactly how many?
You said 43.
Yeah.
You said I listened.
Yeah, but earlier today.
Yes, I listen when you talk to me. I listen and retain information because you're very important to me.
Oh.
Problem is I retain random pieces of information. It's not the ones I should remember. Like where I put things.
Adhida,
the great eldritch demon of Adhida strikes again. Mm-hmm. Well, again, listener, thank you so much for tuning in. And Jess is going to hit you with that classic outro she does every single week. Hit it.
I love you, Mikey.
Oh, thanks, honey.